Hello, everyone. We are live now. Welcome to our webinar, Careers in Marine Mammal Science and Industry, Building Skills for Blue Economy. My name is Patricia Puig, and I'm the co-founder of Blue Jobs, a pioneer platform dedicated to connecting professionals with career opportunities in the blue economy and marine conservation. I'm thrilled to welcome such a diverse and engaged audience to this webinar. We have now 558 registers. So they are eager to explore career pathways, marine mammal science, and blue economy. Today also we have an incredible panel of speakers. Thank you for being here and share your knowledge and your expertise in marine science, conservation, and industry, and provide these valuable perspectives and guidance on building successful careers in this sector. So thank all of you for joining us. This event is in collaboration between IMarEST, Marine Mammals Special Interest Group, SIG, and Blue Jobs, and it is officially endorsed by the UN Ocean Decade. Thank you all for taking the time for being in this conversation. So for today's webinar, our aim is to inspire and guide early career professionals, people who is looking for also to switch careers to the marine mammal sector, highlight the essential skills and emerging opportunities that we have in the marine mammal conservation careers, and promote the collaboration in the blue economy. And we are going to talk about the concept of blue economy as well and how it fits here. So this session will run for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we will include some Q&A questions at the end. So please try to be here for the whole webinar, so you will have the opportunity also to type your questions into the Slido chat as we go along. And then at the end, we will have discussion. Now to start, I'm going to introduce you the panelists. First of all, we have Celia Murcia. Say hello, Celia. So she is a blue economy expert with over 15 years of experience. Celia will provide insights into the emerging blue sectors and how to assess skill gaps in the marine sector. She is the founder and CEO of Blue Jobs, which is a platform, as I say, for connecting professionals looking for jobs and career opportunities in the marine science sector and blue economy. And she will discuss also what employers are looking in the blue economy, providing some insights, specializing in the marine mammal experts. So then we have also Niru Dorian. Thank you very much also for co-hosting this webinar with us. And he's an offshore ecologist and co-chair of the IMarEST SIG. And Niru brings 20 years of experience in the marine fauna mitigation, conservation, and education. So he will discuss professional institutes, accreditations, and career pathways. Looking forward to it. Also, we have with us Liz Ferguson. She is the CEO of Ocean Science Analytics, and Liz specialized in passive acoustic data analysis and empowering young women in STEAM. And she will guide us on consulting, professional development, internships, and essential skill acquisition. Thank you for being here, Liz. And then we have Ashley. Say hello. And she is the CEO of NGV Wise Environmental. Ashley is a marine consultancy, works in the marine consultancy sector, and she's a passionate advocacy for women in STEAM as well. And she will share some tips on networking, CV optimization, and engaging with students and employers. Thank you all of you for being here again. And we're going to start with Celia. Celia Murcia will introduce Blue Jobs, its mission, and also the skills that employers value most, particularly in marine mammal experts. Celia, the ocean is yours.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I think you can see now my presentation. Okay, so hello, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are located. Just many thanks to the colleagues from IMarEST for organizing this event on careers, opportunities, and also many thanks to our audience for participating in this webinar. So basically, with this first intervention, I would like to provide you an overview of the job opportunities in the marine science and the blue economy sectors, with a focus on the jobs for marine mammals students and professionals. We are going to discuss where the most important marine sectors that they are growing and emerging now, and therefore they have high demand for professionals. And then we are going to go through the skills needed in the industry based on some job vacancies that are currently active. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Celia Murcia, the founder and CEO of Blue Jobs. My background is on marine science, and this is how Blue Jobs was born. There was a need of a job platform specialized in the marine science and the blue economy sectors to facilitate the recruitment processes in this industry and to facilitate to find a job in marine science. So since I founded Blue Jobs nearly 4 years ago, we have posted a lot of job vacancies. We have grown a big community of users on LinkedIn. We have more than 4,000 experts like you in our community, marine biologists, oceanographers, consultants, researchers, and more, coming from all parts of the world and with different levels of experience, from students to more senior profiles. We cover all the blue economy sectors, coming from including marine research, marine renewable energy, naval engineering, oceanography, but also conservation, ecology, and wildlife, where this webinar is about. For those who are looking for a job or looking for guidance, we can help you with our job board. We have recurrent webinars to improve blue skills. For example, the latest one that we did was about how to prepare a cover letter, but focus on these sectors. You can replay on YouTube. We also provide some training programs to improve technical and soft skills, such as communication skills, for example. And then we have an updated blog with lots of useful content for marine professionals. So I invite you all to follow us to find some guidance on these sectors. As I mentioned earlier, I would like to provide a contents on the emerging blue economy sectors that have high potential for employability, including marine mammal professionals. So basically, blue economy, as you may already know, is all economy activities related to the ocean, the seas, and the coast. So basically, it covers a wide range of interlinked established sectors like fisheries, maritime transport, but also other emerging sectors that we are going to focus now. So, for example, marine renewable energies is a growing industry. It is fully developed in some countries in Northern Europe, for example, but it has a huge potential in some countries like Spain or France. Within this sector, there are significant opportunities for marine mammal professionals that you may be interested. For example, some roles needed are environmental impact assessment specialists. So basically, we need professionals to conduct baseline surveys of marine mammal population in the areas where they want to build these wind farms or tidal or wave energy farms. They need also professionals to assess the potential impact of the construction, operational, but also the decommissioning phase of this structure. They need also marine mammal observers to monitor the activity of these animals around these projects. They need experts on acoustic monitoring, for example, the use of passive acoustic monitoring equipment to detect and track marine mammal activities, to model also the soundscape of the noise impact, no, from these underwater turbines and the traffic of the maritime transport. So there are a lot of opportunities for the experts on this topic in this sector. Moving to another sector that is also growing is marine biotechnology. So basically, this is the commercialization of non-traditional products for different purposes like cosmetics, health, food, drugs, or fuels as well. So marine mammal professionals can help to bridge the gap between basically the research and apply innovations. No? So basically, there are some roles that are needed also from this industry, which are, for example, experts on genetics of marine mammals. So to study the genetic material from marine mammals to understand adaptations to extreme environments, or to contribute to biotechnological innovations such as drugs or treatments inspired by marine mammal physiology. So it's quite interesting to see how maybe you were thinking in marine mammals, expert can only work in one sector, but there are a lot of things that that you can do, and there are industries needed for this type of professionals. So moving now to aquaculture, this is also a sector that is quickly expanding to meet the global demand for sustainable seafood, and marine mammal professionals are also contributing to this sector. For example, we need marine mammals mitigation advisor. So for example, how to design and implement measures to prevent marine mammals from interacting with the fish farms, with aquaculture farms, no? How to design this infrastructure to minimize the harm to these animals. So specialists on the behavior on marine mammals. So a lot of things also to be focused on this industry. And just a couple of examples more of different industries that needs marine mammal professional. One is the tourism sector, particularly marine and ecotourism. Basically provides a range of opportunities for this type of expertise. Examples are marine wildlife guides, but always focusing on whale watching, dolphin safaris, but from the conservation and awareness point of view, no? Or ecotourism planners, or how to design these activities to minimize the environmental impact and prioritize the marine mammal well-being, no? So basically to find a compromise between tourism and the protection of these species. And just a last one, just another sector that is quite important as well is the maritime spatial planning, because plays a critical role in balancing various marine activities while ensuring the sustainability of the ocean resources. So how a marine mammal expert can work on MSP? For example, analyzing ecological, acoustic, and the movement of marine mammals. So basically analyze all the data, use geographical information systems to create maps, modeling. So a lot of things, and also for sure, policy development. So basically how marine mammal protection should be integrated in all of this maritime spatial planning that all the countries are working on. Okay, so now we have seen examples of marine industries that require marine mammal professionals. Now we are going to look at the skills needed for this professional. Looking at the time, I'm going to be a bit quick on this. So overall, in all the blue economy sectors, there are still some gaps to overcome. Just for you to know, there is still a mismatch between the skills that they are being taught at universities and basically what the industry needs, no? There is also some sectors from the maritime industry that they are not really attractive to young people because they are maybe very physical, or the conditions working offshore, they are really harsh. So there are still some need of upskilling and reskilling, and probably this is one of the reasons why you are attending this webinar, to learn more about the skills needed in the current scenario, but also in the future jobs. So I think I'm not going to enter in much detail because Lee's presentation will also talk about the skills, but just for you to know, to provide you a bit of context, there are technical hard skills, well, it can be green skills, digital innovation, language skills, and other like soft transversal skills, no? Like project management, communication, that there are often sometimes forgotten, but they are really important. But let's look at the skills with real examples of job positions. So you can find all the jobs in our platform, but I have brought you today some vacancies in different parts of the world from different levels of experience as an examples to have a look at what are the skills and experience requested for this industry. So we have the first one, they are looking for an aquarium. In Monterrey, they are looking for a mammologist. So obviously, they are looking for someone with experience on animal husbandry experience, with knowledge of the behavior, animal care, but also important thing is understanding the guidelines. In this case, they are from the United States, and regulation of marine mammals, also scuba diving certifications. This is from the UK. The Marine Management Organization is looking for marine planning managers. This is the example that I put before, that the MSP are looking for experts like you. In this case, they are looking for someone with relevant qualification and memberships. This is quite important in this webinar, and my colleagues will mention later the type of certifications that can help you to find a job easily. And just a couple of examples more. From the UK, they are looking for a senior marine mammal consultant. In this case, they are also looking for someone with experience in legislation. So this is another skills that you may be working on. Experience in advising clients. This will be a soft skills as well, how to deal with clients. And the rest, underwater noise modeling, for example. This is another technical skill that is quite requested. This is more in the internship level. They are looking for someone with a strong written and verbal communication skills. Again, soft skills. Comfortable working with handle marine species, working outside with all the conditions. Some examples here of what is requested. And just to finalize with a more senior job vacancy, this is for a director in the Pacific Marine Mammal Center in United States. Just for you to look at the skills, they are also looking at boating skills, photography skills, GIS skills, and on mapping, and also even drone piloting and field applications such as photogrammetry. So these are some examples for you to look at, and examples of upskilling and reskilling that you can undertake in your career to move forward to your next job or your future improvement. No? So I think that's all. Sorry if I take a few minutes more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Celia, for that fantastic introduction to blue jobs and the blue economy. And it is great to hear the diversity of types of jobs and skill needed in the marine mammal career. And also thank you for giving these real examples of current job opportunities for our audience. Please, if you have any questions for Celia, you can type your questions in Slido, and we can make the discussion later. So now we are going to go through the next speaker, Niru Dorian, and he is an offshore ecologist and marine mammal specialist with extensive experience in professional development and industry standards. And he will give us the introduction to the role of professional bodies, accreditations, and career pathways in Marine Mammals. You can start when you are ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia and Celia, and welcome everyone to this collaborative webinar. It's fantastic to see so many people have registered for today's event from around the world. So first of all, obviously, marine mammals, they're considered essential for maintaining a balanced ecosystem and are often referred to as sentinels of ocean health. Marine mammals are also considered charismatic megafauna, which helps raise and stimulate public support for the conservation and that of oceans in general. And it also inspires many of us to pursue a career working in this field. So really the objectives of this collaborative event today is to provide an overview, and certainly from my slides, of professional institutes, how that can support your career, routes to getting involved in various marine mammal professions, and we'll hopefully provide you some resources which you can revert back to just reinforce what Celia had said, also with regards to the different positions that you can follow in this field and the type of skills that you will need. And it's ideal, obviously, for students and early career professionals considering their futures here. So my name is Nero Dorian, and I'll just kind of go through a brief overview of what we'll cover, aside from an introduction to myself. Just go over professional bodies, what that comprises of, an introduction to the IMarEST, which is the Institute of Marine Engineering, Science and Technology, overview of professional accreditations and professional memberships. I'll introduce you to what special interest groups are, and specifically our special interest group, which is the Marine Mammals SIG, our published Marine Mammal Career Matrix, as well as early career associates memberships and what that might entail with the IMarEST, and also some additional supporting bursaries and funding opportunities that might be of interest to you. So who am I? My name is Nero Dorian, as we said, and I'm the co-chair of the Marine Mammal Special Interest Group, alongside my colleague who'll be speaking a little bit later, Liz Ferguson. I also work for ESB as a senior offshore ecological coordinator, and I'm a marine mammal specialist. I manage ecology projects such as baseline long lead surveys, which are required for offshore renewable development, required for EIA. And over the past 20 years, I've contributed to more than 60 international projects focusing on ecological management, wildlife surveys, conservation, mitigation and monitoring, wildlife surveys. And I've also dedicated over 2 decades now to marine mammal conservation and One Health, with stranding pathology, rescue and rehabilitation experience. I'm also co-chair, as I mentioned, of the Marine Mammals SIG. I'm also the appointed UN Ocean Decade Ambassador for the IMarEST. I'm a chartered marine scientist and a chartered scientist. I co-founded an NGO called Whalefish, and I was chair of the Marine Mammal Reserves Association for several years up until 2021. I'm also an advanced marine mammal medic for the British Divers Marine Life Rescue. And as I mentioned, worked on quite extensive international projects. So hopefully I bring a nice perspective and overview of various avenues you can take your career in. So what are professional institutes? So firstly, obviously, a professional institution also could be known as a professional association, professional body, or professional society, is an organization in essence that helps promote careers and the people who practice within it. They are membership-based and membership-led, often can be registered charities and not-for-profit potentially as well. They can help set standards, develop and maintain industry expectation, including codes of conduct, academic registrations and accreditations through terms that you'll hear throughout this conversation, for example, chartership or registered marine scientists, and some employers will actually require this. They provide resources which can offer continuing education courses, industry publications, magazines, and networking opportunities. As we mentioned as well, special interest groups, which are led by members within them, CPD tracking services as well. This is continuous professional development or career professional development, which is quite critical as well if you're pursuing any career. They do oversee members. They monitor the knowledge, skills, conduct and practice of their members, and operate also by peer review. So here are just some examples also of some professional institutes. The IMarEST for one, the Royal Society of Biology, Chartered Institute of Water and Environmental Management, the British Ecological Society, Chartered Institute of Ecology and Environmental Management, Marine Biological Association. There's many out there. I do recommend you take a look through. Most will offer complimentary student memberships, and I would say highly recommended to join this and take advantage of this, because they will provide a great resource and great career support for you. So just to introduce the IMarEST, I've been personally a member of the IMarEST since 2008, and I found it to be a fantastic organization, providing a lot of great support to myself, and a great platform as well to do some good in our field as well. So the IMarEST is a registered charity, and it's the international professional body and learned society for all marine professionals in over 120 countries. The largest marine organization of its kind, and the first institute to bring together over 12,500 marine engineers, scientists, and technologists into one international multidisciplinary professional body. We also have over 50 international branches around the world. We promote the development of marine engineering, science, and technology, and we provide opportunities for the exchange of ideas and practices and uphold the safety status, standards, and knowledge of marine professionals worldwide, and a representation channel to various regulatory bodies as well. So membership and registration. So as I mentioned, if you are a student, you will be entitled to complimentary student membership with the Institute. There are also a variety of different membership grades and levels that you can apply for. And depending on how you progress through your career, you can then seek higher membership tiers. For example, a lot of these can be seen as professional benchmarks. So you have to have a certain amount of professional experience in order to be eligible to be considered for a certain membership band. Professionals can apply for different membership grades, as I mentioned. Correspondingly, your skills, experience, and competence informs the level of professional registration that you can achieve, with chartered status being the highest. So this is undertaken through an application process, a review, an assessment, and what's called a professional review interview, which will assess based on your expertise and how you've followed your career to date. And then you could be awarded additional professional accreditations. So you'll see on some job posts, they will actually require you to be either en route to seeking chartership or members of a professional body, or whether you might, for a more senior position, it might be a prerequisite that you already hold that chartered status as well. So it's just something to be considering. It might confuse you if you see that on job posts, but it's certainly something that, being members of a professional institute, that will all become clear. And also the IMarEST is one of the very few professional bodies which can offer our own professional registrations, along with being licensed by the Engineering Council and Science Council, respectively as well. So just to show you, obviously from chartered marine engineers, not necessarily that relevant to marine mammals there, but we follow this route of chartered marine scientists, or registered marine scientists, or potentially even a marine technician, depending on your background there. So special interest groups, as I've mentioned before, so we obviously represent the Marine Mammal Special Interest Group. So we currently have over 50 branches around the world. These are led by members, volunteers. We run meetings and lectures, both online and in person. And the branches themselves, they work closely with organizations in the marine community, allowing them to engage with the sectors. As you can see here, there's quite a diverse range of different special interest groups. If you're interested in the marine science side, we have obviously our Marine Mammals and Conservation SIG. We have our polar regions, and we've got ocean plastics as well. So there's quite a lot of diversity there. We're potentially looking at also setting up an elasmobranch special interest group this year as well. So there's definitely a lot of interest from the marine science side within the IMarEST. So looking forward to seeing who from this webinar today is interested in maybe getting more involved with our special interest groups. Our SIG as well was formed in 2020. We have 17 active committee members and over 350 corresponding members. We promote knowledge exchange, we foster collaborative partnerships, focus on collaborative capacity building and advocating advancements in marine mammal science, business, conservation, monitoring, and mitigation. And we do this through publishing science communication articles in various magazines. We've published a career matrix, which I'll talk about a little bit later. We host webinars like we're doing today. We also arrange workshops and university guest lecturing. We also contribute quotes and opinions for mainstream news outlet contributions. We're involved with UN Ocean Decade contributions as well. Again, getting endorsed events and activities around what we're doing to help meet the challenges of the Ocean Decade. We've also recently partnered with DEFRA in the UK on a marine mammal monitoring innovation project, which we'll be delivering in March of 2025. So we're involved in quite a lot of things, which is fantastic to see, and really, really great energy from our members. So the career matrix that I mentioned, so this was published by our SIG. This is a kind of compendium of potential career routes in marine mammal science. I recommend you have a little scan of this QR code. You can download this. It's a free resource. It gives you examples of what you would be doing in these specific jobs. It then also gives examples of key skills that are kind of required, which you could be focusing on. Also, there are some role model examples from different professionals within our network. You can kind of have a look at where they've taken their career from, what kind of background they have, what kind of roles they've moved into, and this hopefully will serve some inspiration for you for pursuing this route. In the IMarEST as well, we have our early career associates. You could become an early career associate if you become a recent graduate. You're also entitled to reduced membership fees for up to 5 years as you take a step from full-time education or training into associate membership, and this helps you support your route into full-time employment. And it's really great as a resource there that you can help track your professional development, and you can also get involved with our special interest groups, and it's fantastic for that. Also, the bursaries and funding. The IMarEST is committed to supporting lifelong learning and rewarding those starting out their careers and those at the cutting edge of new developments. So this is just a list of a variety of the more kind of specific to marine science side bursaries and grants that are available. Some of them are really fantastic. And I do recommend that you do take a look at those. Funding is obviously something that could help support potential future development, career opportunities, interning, for example. So definitely check that out from that web link below. IMarEST also has a marine jobs platform as well. So obviously, in addition to Blue Jobs, this will just support, give you a better idea of what other career routes there might be as well. So recommend you have a check on that from jobs.imarest.org. It's just recently launched. A little bit more focused on the industry side, not so much on the conservation, but again, another fantastic resource for you to have. So definitely check out that and register. And if you have any more questions or would like any more information, feel free to scan the QR code there and get in touch with us. And we really look forward to seeing anybody who's been attending today join the Marine Mammal Special Interest Group as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Niru, for those valuable insights about IMarEST and interprofessional development and accreditation pathways, and also for sharing these great resources such as the Marine Mammal Interest Group Careers Matrix. So remember that you can paste your questions in Slido and we can discuss later. So now we will go through our next speaker, Liz Ferguson, and she's the CEO of Ocean Science Analytics. Liz will discuss continuing professional development internships and essential skill acquisition for marine mammal careers. Liz, the ocean is yours.
Should probably turn on my volume. All right, thanks everyone. And I'm very excited that we get a chance to talk on this issue today because I know it's really important to helping many in the audience. So I'm just going to touch a little bit more on some of the technical skills as well as internships and things along those lines today. So we'll start by giving you just a touch of a background on ocean science analytics and my background. I established Ocean Science Analytics, or OSA, which I refer to it in this talk occasionally, in 2018. And prior to that, I had experience in predominantly passive acoustic monitoring and data analysis in organizations such as NOAA, Southwest Fisheries Science Center, and then in the private sector. So I established Ocean Science Analytics because of the fact that I wanted to be able to not only conduct and research and contribute to the analytical tool development, but also because I wanted to offer online technical training. So we do have quite a bit of expertise in marine mammal passive acoustic data analysis and tools. For our online technical training, we offer courses in passive acoustic software, training specifically in an ocean science context for learning how to use R, and coming soon, a QGIS course for marine science professionals to be able to relay skills for geographic information systems. So just a little bit about us. I thought I'd throw an old school picture in there. If anybody's familiar with passive acoustics, well, computers at all, you'll notice the CDs, which is dating myself there quite a bit. But like many of you, I kind of graduated from undergrad and just didn't know what to do, so threw myself into it and fell in love. So I think it's really important to differentiate between marine mammal careers in the blue economy versus traditional roles, because there's a bit of differentiation there that I think is important for you to be aware of. So blue economy careers tend to focus on monitoring and mitigation. They support economic activities such as offshore energy or shipping or fisheries. There's typically more of an applied problem-solving scenario to those roles. So either noise pollution reduction or compliance monitoring, things along those lines. And oftentimes those roles are embedded with industry partners. So you might be working for a renewable energy company or a consulting agency that's conducting a study to better understand, or baseline study to understand where marine mammals exist within a region or a study area intended for, either offshore renewables or oil and gas and things along those lines. Traditional careers tend to focus a little bit more on the ecological as well as natural history basic research. So looking into the behavior or the ecology or evolution of animals. And while there's definitely some elements that kind of cross-pollinate with the blue careers, there's more of a pure research focus. So it's more about advancing the fundamental knowledge instead of having some applied kind of component to the actual research. Not that it can't lead to that, but because of the fundamental knowledge feeds into it, but a little bit different in that respect. And oftentimes these careers are going to be housed or found within universities or nonprofits. So the positions that you find that have this traditional career route are typically going to be in academia or conservation organizations. The other thing that's important to know about is a little bit about requirements for marine mammal careers. So in the blue economy, there tends to be a requirement for an undergraduate degree in marine science or oceanography or some related field. There also is, and this isn't always quite obvious, but specific training. So short-term technical training courses or certifications that are aligned with some of these blue economy careers. And then in terms of skill acquisition, a lot of times that skill acquisition happens during certificate programs or industry partnerships or on the job. So that is compared to traditional careers, whereas the degrees required are typically going to be more advanced. So either a master's or a PhD in one of the related fields. There is extended training that occurs on the topics of research methodologies and statistical analysis over the course of many different years and over coursework that occurs during the acquisition of some of those advanced degrees. And then that skills acquisition is typically going to happen within the graduate programs and through mentorship and independent research. So if you're coming out of an undergraduate program and not finding you have the skills that are advertised for these traditional careers, it's because a lot of times those are taught during the course of those advanced degrees. So it's very important, regardless of continuing your professional development or finding means to be able to kind of acquire this, what we call CPD. And it's important for not only advancing your career, but staying current with emerging technologies, such as bioacoustics or AI. And then a couple examples of ways that you can, or different avenues of continuing professional development include certifications through professional organizations, as Nero just discussed, and then through compliance and regulatory training. And just to give you an example of a role, a protected species observer, so someone who goes out and is responsible for monitoring for marine mammals, either during some type of baseline study or during mitigation operations. In the US, we have a protected species observer certification that's required for folks to have. There are a variety of different trainers and providers for that. And in the UK, they have the JNCC, which obviously can apply to other countries as well. So you can have a JNCC accreditation that is applicable in the US kind of operations. And they have some specific requirements as well that align pretty commonly with some of the other elements of the Protected Species Observer certification. So just an example of some of those regulatory certifications. Within some of these professional organizations, and Nira talked about a lot of the characteristics of IMarEST. One other quick thing I wanted to point out is the fact that they will also offer kind of recognized trainers for those different types of CPD. So on the IMarEST, if you navigate to their CPD or under their education and training section, they'll have a list of organizations that have courses that have that stamp of approval. So they're recognized as being vetted and appropriate for whatever certification you're kind of interested in or training you're interested in. To go to the next one here, within the US, just to give you another example outside of IMarEST, there's the Marine Technology Society, or MTS. This is an international society as well that promotes awareness and understanding and advancement of marine technology kind of applications. Similarly, they have a career kind of technology connection as well into careers in the marine sector. And they also have something that they launched a couple years ago, 2 years ago now, this micro-credentialing, which I think is really phenomenal. And essentially, they're training through a series of courses, specific skill sets that are found in the blue economy. So just as an example here, they have an underwater glider pilot micro-credential. The word micro and credentials in general happen to be shorter in duration and very focused and targeted on the specific skill. They do take anywhere from a few months to a year to acquire, just so you're aware, but do have the benefit of providing you with that certification on your CV when you're applying to roles. So in terms of internships, this is obviously, I think a lot of us are familiar with the fact that you can gain this practical experience and get some real world kind of application with techniques and tools. There are different types of internships, including field surveys, lab work, data analysis, skill development, and other things. But I thought I'd kind of just touch on the fact that maybe focus a little bit more on the skills that you're looking for and how you kind of evaluate that through internships. So in this particular example, it's an advertisement for a Protected Species Observer position with a company, and we can read through these and look at some of the skill sets. But a lot of times, if you were to do, say, some type of word cloud, you get a vast majority of terminology and phrasing that you might not necessarily link or connect to specific technical skills. So just to list out some of these, and there's no way I can go through all of them, but by technical skills, I'm talking about things along the lines of with any of these, in that particular situation, you'd have to have some skill set for behavioral observations and data collection. So obviously that PSO certification would kind of give you that. But then other examples of technical skills include obtaining some bioacoustic analysis and monitoring practices, experience, and skill sets or technical skills for writing or contributing to environmental impact assessments, GIS and spatial mapping, statistical modeling, remote sensing techniques, eDNA sampling and analysis, and drone-based survey methods. Now, this isn't everything. Obviously, refer to that career matrix if you really want something that gives you the whole gambit of specific skills for specific roles. But what's also important and falls by the wayside oftentimes is either developing or honing in on your existing communication and public outreach skills, teamwork and collaboration, problem solving, and all these other soft skills that tend to be sometimes just as important as the technical skills. So either developing those or being open to learning those as you go through the internships or training is another important aspect of what you do. And I feel like within within the modern day marine mammal career in this particular sector, you know, basically you have different tools on your tool belt and you gain maybe a PSO or MMO experience or certification. But then you find yourself needing to tack on another one and another one and another one in order to have this kind of interdisciplinary characteristic about you and your capabilities. And that's because these end up being very interdisciplinary roles. And I want to stress the importance of that because while it's great to get some type of certification, you really should be pairing 2 or 3 technical skills in your overall kind of what you offer and what you can do because of the fact that that's going to make more jobs accessible to you and because of the fact that it's often going to be required. You'll notice that in some of the job announcements that Celia had mentioned. So when you're evaluating these different internships, it's important to understand what experience you're gaining on those. And if you're like me, you're drawn to this one because there's dolphins. Right? We want the pitches of the marine mammals in there. But if you look a little bit closer and think about and interpret or I guess assess these different internships and what skills you're gaining, in this particular example, it's great because the fact that you'll gain husbandry and behavioral skills and training, behavioral training. However, the husbandry skills are going to be less transferable to other positions. There's going to be specific these skills are going to be specific to animal care facilities. But if you're needing that public kind of communication and education component, this is going to be useful because it will help you with that. So you really have to look at what the role is and think about what you're going to gain out of it. Now, in this particular internship, it's not related at all to marine mammals, right? But if you take a look at some of these skill sets in the description, and I'll kind of summarize in my bullet points here, you gain data analysis and modeling experience. Now that can be applied, it's not in the black, I'm just mentioning how it can be applied to marine mammal kind of uses. But it would help you in order to gain some experience for analyzing habitat use, migration patterns, and environmental impacts for marine mammals. You also would learn in this internship eDNA techniques, which could relate to helping you detect marine mammals through their prey. And through the detection of marine mammals in that eDNA, and then also oceanographic expertise. So while you're going through and looking for these internships and opportunities, I would encourage you to really kind of look at the practical applications and technical skills you gain out of that and think about how that might relate to your ultimate goals. These are oftentimes 8 to 10 week opportunities. So you can take those skills and you don't have to stay in that particular sector. Coral reefs for this one, you don't have to stay in that domain forever. You can translate those skills. Other opportunities for skill development include technical courses. Community colleges offer actually some really great ones. In fact, geographic information systems, oftentimes the community colleges, which have year-long kind of accreditations, are the leaders within that particular sector. Online resources such as e-learning platforms, and then internships with adjacent disciplines with transferable skills. So we mentioned an internship in a marine sector, but you could very easily, if you wanted data analysis skills, get an internship in, I don't know, biotechnology and be able to apply that as well. So most importantly, and I say this as a professor of biology and also as someone who offers apprenticeships at OSA. So most importantly, relaying your passion, being able to communicate effectively, and being proactive tends to be some most important critical features to your searches and career establishment. So with that, I will give it back to Patricia and Ashley.
Thank you very much, Liz, for these great insights that you gave. Also for the distinctions on blue economy and traditional roles. Now the blue economy sector is growing, and along there are new opportunities coming. And also it's really important, these soft skills that you mentioned, and as well the interdisciplinary skills, no? And how you can bring these skills from one sector to another. So I'm sure that many people got inspired inspired from the audience. And I invite you to also to write some questions in the chat. So finally, we have now Ashley Noseworthy. She's the CEO of Edgewise Environmental. And Ashley, she will share actionable tips on building your professional profile, networking effectively, and standing out to potential employers. So, Ashley?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And Liz, all I can say is yes. Yes to everything you said. Yes. So I hope people took away a few different nuggets of information, and there's lots of great questions in the Slido chat. So keep those coming. I've been watching those come in, and we'll get to those towards the end. So I will be very selective with my time just so that we can get to some of those questions, because I understand that that's the reason that a lot of people are here. So I am going to share my screen, which always tends to be the most complex thing that we do these days. And there we go. And everybody should be able to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. So welcome everybody, and thank you for having me. And I would like to talk to you about networking, continued professional development, building a personal brand. And I know some people find that really icky, especially when you're in science. But I'm going to talk about some advice that I received as I was growing a company, and how perhaps you need to lean into that a little bit more, especially if you are an active job seeker. And also as an employer myself, talking about perhaps what we're looking for, and some of those key things that can differentiate you when you are actively looking for a position. So I want to start with this out with kind of introducing who Edgewise is and what we do, to give you a little bit of context, because then I want to talk a little bit about my career, and perhaps also give you a few anecdotes that may resonate with a few people, because I understand what it's like to have large gaps between perhaps that job that you really, really want. So Edgewise, we are a certified women-owned marine environmental consultancy. And we focus in marine mammals, seabirds, and anthropogenic noise mitigation solutions. There are 3 streams to the business. So we do training, we do consulting, and we have an active R&D stream. We developed Canada's first formalized training programs for MMOs, seabird observers, and passive acoustic monitoring operators to Canadian regulation and legislation. And there must have been something in the water in 2018, because we also started in 2018, similar to Liz, and funny enough to a few other entrepreneurs that I know. We all started in 2018. And we do a variety of things. So we do our training. In terms of consulting, we work with any industry in the blue economy in our niche areas. And so in consulting, you have generalists, and then you have those that are quite specific and niche, and we are the niche. So a generalist is somebody perhaps that's looking at a problem in a very holistic point of view. Those people that are kind of taking on the wider EIAs, we're taking a portion of that, a very slim piece. So we're very defined in what we do. When it comes to R&D, we're really interested in how to do things differently, how to do things smarter, how to leverage technology, building new technology, and drones has played a very big part in that, and that's turning out to be a new skill set that perhaps is coming down the pipeline. In regards to our mission, I think it's really important to have a distinct point of view as a company, and really advertise that in terms of, well, who are we, and what do we believe in, and why are we here? So at Edgewise, we're all about disrupting the status quo. We really want to be drivers of positive change in the blue economy, and we really want to be innovative. So pairing those innovative solutions along with the consulting and the training to develop those leading consulting services. We're committed to transforming ocean industries from within. We believe in the promotion of ocean literacy, both general and specific, and we're all about fostering inclusive practices. Inclusivity is one of our core values. It's really important to us. And our purpose is all anchored in leaving a positive impact on the world. And we strive for sustainability and inclusivity. And we want that to be characterized by environmental excellence. So we want to be the best at what we do. And that is a challenge and a hill we climb every day. And we also want to make sure that we're building the world's understanding of marine ecosystems as we do that. It's a big mission, but I think it's important to understand the pillars on with which you are built. And as somebody who may be a job seeker, it's also important to know some of that within yourself, because corporate culture is really important. I understand what the want is to just find a job. But once you get past that a little bit, it's perhaps a little more important to find a company and a job that also suits some of those values. If not, they will fight against one another. And perhaps that, you're not going to be as fulfilled in that position long term as you may hope to be. So as indicated, what we do, research and development, consulting, and training. A little bit about me and who I am. So I started Edgewise in 2018 out of a need for formalized training. And I did my master's, I did my bachelor's in Memorial University. I'm from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. And then I did my master's at Newcastle University in the UK. And I spent over a decade of my life offshore. So I started out as an MMO and a PAM operator and a seabird observer, and last going off, working my way up, working as a client representative in the Arabian Gulf. I spent 12 years working with marine mammals in captivity. And so I happen to be one of those ones, if you asked me when I was 10 what I wanted to be, it was marine biologist, and it never wavered. But I tested that as I was going through and building my skill set to make sure that I was on the right track, because just saying you want to work with marine mammals, that's a very broad statement. There is very specific, there's so many layers and sectors in which you can work in just that. And it's important that we figure that out as we go through and kind of what job that you actually want. And so I started volunteering with marine mammals when I was 12. And I spent 12 years both volunteering and then working part-time and then working full-time. And it was my first full-time job out of university, all at a cold ocean research facility in Newfoundland. I taught offshore survival and aviation ditching training for a number of years. And you may look at this list and go, that's a little bit of a deviation. And I think it's important to throw those in there, in that it is okay to move laterally or a little bit outside of where you want to be if it's going to build a skill set that's going to get you to where you want to go. And the reason why I took the job teaching ditching training and offshore survival training is because not only did it teach me how to teach adults, which is very different from teaching children, it gave me an incredible network in an industry in which, when I launched my business, I was probably going to be heavily integrated into, which I was. And it taught me a lot about organization, stress management, chaos, managing people. It taught me a lot about managing people and clear communication, because communication, in my point of view, is one of the biggest skill sets that you can bring to a job. And if you struggle to communicate, or you cannot communicate effectively and or clearly, or understand perhaps how you may need to alter that a little bit depending on the situations that you're in terms of, whether it's a group setting or one-on-one, then that's an important skill to build. And in addition, I'm the chair of the IMarEST Atlantic Canada branch, which was recently launched in November. So my career thus far, I wanted to pull out a few highlights just to give a few things for you to think about and perhaps resonate a little bit. So I've worked around the world. I've worked in the Arctic, and I worked in West Africa. I worked in the Arabian Gulf. I've worked quite a bit in Canada, a little bit in Norway and the UK, and I am about to go to Antarctica. So you might say, well, Ash, you're a CEO. Every now and then I get some pretty incredible opportunities, and I do love being in the field. So a very short stint, but I do get the opportunity to go to Antarctica. And I always wanted a career, and I was always focused on a career in marine mammals, but I let my experiences guide that passion. And what I mean by that is I would typically take any opportunity that was passed my way. And a lot of those opportunities opened up doors to areas of either marine mammals that I didn't know existed, or they opened up doors to other facets of a job that perhaps I didn't know that I was really good at, or something I definitely didn't want to do. And that's equally as important to understand about yourself. The things you don't want to do. Do not apply to jobs if it's something that you know you're going to hate every day. That will resonate. And again, you're not really going to last. So be as selective as you can. I think that's really, really important. One of the experiences that stands out is going to Costa Rica. I didn't think that I was cut out for biology. I didn't think that I was very good at it. I wasn't sure if that's what I really wanted to do. And so I decided to do a volunteer program when I was in my second year of my undergrad. And I went to Costa Rica and I ended up on a very specific project in underwater sound. And I had no idea that underwater acoustics was a thing until that very moment, and it's really guided the rest of my career. So sometimes doing those litmus tests and thinking, I'm not really good at these things, I just need to try this before I move on to something else, can really open up doors for you. And so sometimes you need to take a step back to move forward as well, and that's really important. And the importance of putting yourself out there, but making sure that you do that strategically. So kind of, blanket sending resumes without tailoring them to either a specific job and or company typically doesn't yield the best results. And while it may take time to sit down and tailor, sometimes it's just a few words, sometimes it can be a paragraph, sometimes it's about having a few versions and putting it together, but it means quite a bit to an employer. The same as if you make it to the next round and into an interview, one of my first questions to a potential employee is, what do you know about Edgewise? And it's not to test that they have memorized our website, but it's to just understand, did you make the effort to at least spend 5 minutes looking at who we are and what we do? And I just want to hear it from your own words. How did it translate to you? And so that's really important, that if you're not going to spend those couple of minutes and you've made it to the next round and you've gotten a job interview, you do need to know a little bit about the company in which you may be working for. And so that can make all of the difference. And sometimes it has. So make sure that you do things strategically and with purpose in a job search, and it will typically yield some better results. So approaching employers online. We live in an online world. Long gone are the days of, drive around or travel around and hand deliver your CVs. Everything is typically done online. Make sure you go through the proper channels. So direct messages to CEOs soliciting a job very rarely yield results. And if I were to get a resume that was directly to me, typically then I know that you haven't gone through the proper channels. And the way I know that is because on our website, in the careers section, it very clearly states that if you would like to hand in your CV, here is how you can do it. And so attention to detail is really important. And that is a very basic level of attention to detail. Spending a little bit of time perusing, finding out where to apply and applying through those correct channels does make a difference. If not, your CV can simply be tossed. Know the company with whom you're applying and make it specific. And that relates to a cover letter. So some people may say that the cover letter is dead. I say nay, nay. It is very, very alive. And while you may balk at that a little bit, a cover letter tells us so much about you. It tells me a lot about attention to detail. It tells me a lot about general grammar of sentence structure and technical writing. It tells us a lot about your voice and how you portray yourself. And so a lot of times, in order to reduce bias, we hire third-party HR firms to do our hiring in association with our hiring team. And the cover letter is important. We specifically state sometimes, a specific title for your cover letter, what we want in the cover letter so that you don't have to guess. And that also relates to following direction. So paying attention to those things And telling us a little bit about yourself in your own words in a cover letter can make the difference between, again, making it into that second pool or simply being tossed. And it's also the first method that we use to separate a group. So if we ask for a CV and cover letter and you don't send in a cover letter, you don't make it. You could have the strongest CV, but it's not fair for all of those that did spend that time writing that cover letter. Be very clear on what you're looking for, and be very clear in what you bring and what goals you have. And so as a small company, we try and be as clear as possible in terms of what the job is, what the expectations are, what the day-to-day is. Sometimes that's very field-based if we're hiring contractors. Sometimes that ebbs and flows depending on what it looks like in an office setting, and you have a little bit of field work mixed in. And so it's important that you indicate what you bring, and those can be any type of skill. Technical skills, micro credentials are becoming super, super important. And while we all spend time, and some of us have spent time, going through formal channels and getting degrees, those are very important. But I do tend to say quite a bit when I'm delivering presentations to university students is that an undergraduate degree, even a graduate degree, does not a biologist make. So even though I went through a biology degree, I didn't come out as a biologist. I came out knowing biology really well and knowing how to learn biology really well. But that doesn't make me a biologist. I need training and practice and experience, and that continues throughout my entire career. In terms of what you bring, there's lots that you can bring to the table. It doesn't necessarily just have to be formalized skills. This is everything from what hobbies you enjoy, the things that you may have learned along the way in your journey of life, and what goals do you have? Where do you want to be? That's really important as well. Pay attention to that in a job ad. For some jobs, this is it. There's nowhere to move up. And if you're one of those people that's really intrinsically motivated and wants to keep going and keep moving up the chain in a company, then again, you need to temper those expectations. And so what are the goals that you have professionally? Personal brand is really important, and employers check social media, especially as you get a little bit older. And so that's really important. We do want to know who you are, and we can ask for formalized background checks, but typically we're checking LinkedIn. Are you present on LinkedIn? Are you there? Who are you? What types of point of views do you have? And it's not a bias. It's just to get to know you a little bit more on would you be a good fit for a company. But do be aware that employers can check social media a little more thoroughly. Continued professional development is really important. Seeing that on your CV, it doesn't have to be one after another. That's not the expectation. But if you've done a credential and it's been a really long time since you've done anything else, perhaps it's time to update that. And that continued professional development shows the wanting to keep up with trends, times, technology. We all know that the advent of AI and the development of that is really important. So seeing those skills and the things that you want to work on tells us a lot about who you are and your passions and where you want to move in your career. Get involved. That's a really important one, and it led me into some really wonderful spaces. And so, for example, Never talked about the IMarEST Marine Mammal Special Interest Group. The Marine Mammal Observer Association is another place where you can get involved as an MMO or PAM operator around the world. Any local environmental industry associations, and I say this one specifically because when I started my business, I joined the local environmental industry association. I then joined the board, and 2 years later, I was chairing that board. So it can bring you and open up doors to opportunities and build a vast network. And that's kind of the next point that I want to make, is building that network and talking to people is perhaps one of the most important things that you can do. You never know when you may need to circle back to those people. And when I was in my undergrad and I was working 3 jobs and I was working my tail off and I was bartending, I ended up talking to a number of people. I ended up becoming an MMO because of somebody that I talked to at the bar who worked in seismic. And they asked if I knew what an MMO was, and I said no. And this is where I identified a gap in the market in Canada. So just talking to people is really important, and reaching out and making those connections. It can be 5 minutes with a professional that you really admire. It can be a coffee with friends. It could be reaching out to an old professor just to stay in touch. Attending events, free events or events in general, online, in person. There's lots that are available, and perhaps the world is a little more accessible than it used to be, especially with online events. And I encourage you to figure out and tailor what you may be looking for and where you want to go, and see who's in those. Look them up on LinkedIn, follow them, and kind of get to know a little bit more about the space you want to be in. When it comes to LinkedIn, posting unique content is important. Reposting is great, but posting something that you may be interested in, this doesn't have to be an arduous task, but it does go a long way in regards to who you are and what you do, and it conveys experience and knowledge. Have a point of view, engage. It's really, really important. So with that, I want to leave time for questions and comments. Thank you for having me. And feel free to connect with us across our platforms. And I will pass it back to Patricia.
Thank you very much, Ashley, for these great insights. And so also for all these tips that you gave on strong communication skills and doing research about the potential employers, approaching the job search strategy, all this is very relevant. And also doing an adapted cover letter, which we have discussed actually this in previous webinars with Blue Jobs, and developing a personal brand, which is really important as well. Okay, so now it's time to do the Q&A session. We have 20 minutes. Thank you all the panelists for doing these incredible presentations and giving this advice, and also for keeping the time. So then we have more time now for the discussion. So we have quite a lot of questions, actually. I hope we can tackle at least some of them, and if there's any remaining, maybe we can answer them later on. So, okay, I'm going to start with one of them, and then we'll go through. Okay. Let's start here. Okay. Almost all jobs require experience. How do you get a job to gain experience without volunteer doing an unpaid internship, which you might have to pay for? Okay, this is a quite relevant question that usually job seekers ask. So when they are particularly early career. So could you, any of you answer or give some thoughts about this?
I can jump in here.
Thank you, Peter.
So, I mean, there's obviously a lot of opportunities out there to gain experience. You can, I mean, without paying for paid opportunities, without paid internships, for example, there are a variety of committees you can join. There are volunteer work that you can do around marine mammal survey works. There's organizations, for example, in the UK, such as orca surveys, marine life surveys. There's citizen science projects, things that you could get involved with in your spare time to kind of bolster your CV. There's a lot of free courses that you could be doing on a variety of platforms, such as Coursera, a variety of other transferable skill sets as well in project management, environmental law, a variety of things that you can do there just to kind of bolster yourself. When it comes to actually gaining experience, it's a very tricky thing. However, there is a lot of opportunity that you can do in your spare time. And there's also paid opportunities as well. There's also paid internships, and there's also funding grants available that you can support yourself through gaining that, such as the grants that are offered by the IMarEST. And these can help you, do some experiences where you can actually get out on a field trip with vessels, for example, to conduct some marine mammal monitoring. So there are a lot of opportunities. You really just have to put in a bit of work to find where they are. There's a lot of resources online. Even some basic Google searches can help you find that. But really the kind of work falls to you and your enthusiasm to actually follow this career field. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that as well.
If I
Yeah,
may
if-
complement.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yes, Celia?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just complementing what Niro said. If you are a student, it's easier. I will recommend you to take the opportunity. If you are already enrolled in a university, it's easier to get an internship from a company because usually there are agreements with universities and organizations, companies. So if you are still enrolled in a program, it's easier to get an internship. If not, if you already finished your studies, I will advise you to keep looking because, as Niro said, there are many opportunities for internships that you don't need to pay. I wouldn't actually pay. In Blue Jobs, we have this. One of our commitments is not to publish any unpaid internships because we don't support this. It is work that you are doing, even if you don't have the experience, you have a massive background, you have your studies. So I will recommend you to keep looking because there are opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
So yes to what everybody has said, and I would say, so I agree, Edgewise does not offer unpaid internships. However, as a small company, it is very helpful if you come with your own funding. So if you are a student, there are a variety of funding mechanisms that can help offset some costs for companies. And if you are a recent graduate, there are other programs. If you happen to be under 30, BIPOC, if you identify as a minority, there are also quite tailored funding agencies or funding available where you can come and they can cover up to potentially 75 to 80% of your salary. I am only familiar with Canada. So for example, Ventures for Canada, the Science Horizons program, Eco Canada. If you go to any of those, there is quite an amount of information. And if you apply to a company and say, actually, you know, I'm in my second year, I'm looking for an internship, but I'm actually coming with some funding that may entice an employer to a conversation.
Yes, please.
Can I just throw in there too, and I'll pair that with another question I know we had in there, which was, are there resources for people looking to switch careers later in life? I would attest to from my personal perspective, people who are transitioning careers tend to have already a skills or that are trying to, you know, get within a particular sector, gaining some, if you don't have it already, but you probably do if you're transitioning, taking what skill set you have and then being able to try and find those opportunities that might align, which might not be ultimately where you want to get, but maybe start you off somewhere. Paired with some maybe smaller kind of training, you know, online technical course, or like Nira mentioned through Coursera, something along those lines, gives a big bang for a buck on top of what you're already doing. And I would encourage people to actually apply for some of those paid positions because it's particularly transitioning career folks have a vast amount of skill set, the work ethic, this, that, and the other. We actually look for those types of people when we're recruiting because they are so critical. So I think it's more, don't not apply for jobs as well. There is value in that, adjacent jobs and stuff.
I'd just add as well, just to not give up hope as well when you're looking for these programs, because there are several that I know of because I run them or I'm involved with them, where we actually provide funded training programs for getting field experience as well as certifications. For example, the ESB MMO training program in Ireland. This is a capacity building skills development program, which offers fully funded places to get certifications for offshore work, as well as certifications in marine mammal observing, medicals, and also some field experience. There's also the Empowering Nigeria project as well. Both of these these projects are actually endorsed by the MMOA and IMarEST, and again, providing capacity building opportunities as well. There's other organizations setting up similar courses. So there are things out there. So you just really need to have a bit of a look for them to find them, but don't give up hope on that side. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing these great tips. And actually, we also have experience either through Blue Jobs and also with my other company, Oshinogami, receiving people having these scholarships, these grants for doing work with us. Like, for example, European grants, Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs program. So there are many in Europe and everywhere, as we are from different places over the world, and we have the audience from different places. So you have this opportunity to have this paid experience and internship experience and apply for these grants. Even myself, when I was looking for jobs, when I finished my career, I also got, fortunately, some grants to start my career and have different kind of experience. I think this is very relevant. And also what you mentioned is about changing from academia to industry roles. The academia, it's important that you consider your skills, the skills that you have from academia that are very relevant for this industry roles, for changing sector. Yeah, are these resources for people looking to switch careers in later in life?
Yeah, I think we kind of addressed that.
Okay, we got the new one, yes. Are the perspectives of social science have been underrepresented within ocean research, but are increasingly included now? Where do you see the role? Okay, I think that's very relevant because we have interdisciplinary skills are really necessary, particularly the social science sometimes is underrepresented in our sector. So do you have any advice for that question?
I can take a stab at this.
Thank you.
So we see it a lot in stakeholder engagement. To have a strong social science background, but be able to relate that to the science and the project and the marine aspect of what's happening and engaging with community. So that could be local communities and municipalities. It could be indigenous communities. It can be, specific industries that may be affected by the project. And so the ability to quantify the stakeholder engagement, but from a social science perspective, that's actually built into some of our EIA processes in Canada. And you see it quite a bit in a lot of other countries as well. So I would say that it is becoming a very strong skill set to have.
Also, sorry, just to complement what Ashley was mentioning, also in marine spatial planning. So basically, one of the sectors that I mentioned earlier, that it plays a crucial role to allow all the blue economy sectors to be in the same place, competing for the same space at the same time. So social science are very important for the stakeholder engagement and to plan all the activities in the same place and to avoid conflicts to other sectors.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Yes, totally agree with this. And yeah, I also had experience from my PhD that there was only one actually social scientist, and it was always saying that we need more for the marine areas and marine spatial planning, as Celia commented, for stakeholder engagement. So we have here another question. Any advice for becoming an ecotourism whale watching guide and other skill qualifications needed to become one?
I can take a stab at that one as well. So there are a variety of courses, not too expensive either. In the UK, there's the WISE scheme. And also in the US, there is the Dolphin Smart program run by NOAA. And these are just courses that can provide you with how to approach animals safely, how to operate, and they're just kind of CV building on that side if that's an avenue you're looking to get into. There are also a variety of online courses you could be potentially doing in marine mammal survey courses to help bolster your CV. And then also maybe just approaching some whale watching tourism guides to see what opportunities they might have. But certainly there's always a lot more we could be continually learning. Professional development, CPD, and like I said, short courses, just keep up to date with them. And also, depending on where you are, wildlife watching guides, there's a variety that you can download online. For example, in Scotland, we've got the Scottish Wildlife Watching Guide. You can download that to PDF. And you can just familiarize yourself with a lot of different programs and how to work around animals safely. Don't know if anyone else has anything more to add to that.
Maybe as I was mentioning, ecotourism are one of the growing sectors in the blue economy. Just mentioned that it is key to find a company that organize these activities in a responsible and sustainable way. So my advice would be to look at companies with environmental certification. So basically that they ensure that all the activities has a minimal impact to the marine mammals. I know that it works different in each country, but these environmental certifications are something that you can have a look and make sure that these companies where you are going to work or do an internship follows these principles.
I've added a few links as well in the Slido just for some courses and trainings. There's also the Whale Champion course by WCA as well. So I know you might dread all this additional training, more courses, but they can be really rewarding as well and very interesting just to improve your awareness.
Thank you, everyone. Is there any particular question that you would like to assess the ones that we have now?
I'm thinking maybe the question about someone who had asked, they have the JNCC, MMO, and PAM and PSO training coming up, and does anybody have advice for getting onto portals and ways to gain firsthand experience in the field? I think Nero and Ashley, you two are probably best suited for that.
I would certainly say one, join the Marine Mammal Observers Association. There's an online forum as well for that. Also LinkedIn, fantastic way to see what opportunities are out there. Use LinkedIn very wisely and network with lots of different agencies and consultancies that typically will be advertising MMO roles. So yeah, those are kind of the main ones. As an affiliate member of the MMOA, you can join at very low cost, and you can get a lot of resources from that, and just be part of a community which shares opportunities and also helps promote professional standards in that area. Ashley?
I would say, so I think there's two routes that you can go in regards to being an MMO. You can be a full contractor and want to kind of commit to just being a contractor, or you may want to be, you may start out as a contractor and want to transition to a full role that can ebb and flow through your career. I chose to be kind of more of a full-time contractor. And so I was also very aware that there could be large gaps in between when I had jobs. And I think that that's also important to remember, is that there may be, so between my first and my second job was about 9 to 10 months when I first started out. Getting the first job is the hardest, getting the second one is the second hardest, and then after that you're probably off to the races and gaining some experience. Working for whale watching companies or in ecotourism can be a great way to transition and really get your ID skills up. There's typically other opportunities. For example, government agencies are also looking for MMOs. That may be for aerial surveys, or it may be vessel-based surveys. And a lot of times they may be looking for technologists or contractors just for field seasons. And so that would be a good way. I would also say, you may hate this answer, but depending on where you want to work as an MMO and a PAM operator, if it is an industry, you do need other training. And what I mean by that is all of the survival training that comes with it. And so while I recognize that it's an expensive endeavor, I had to do it myself, that it does give you a leg up over everybody else that may just be coming in with an MMO search. And so I would encourage you just to look at perhaps the region in which you might kind of focus in first, wherever you're living, and look up those credentials and start picking away at that.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
I thought I'd just mention too that just everything in the blue economy and whatnot is very project dependent. So just as Ashley mentioned, it is challenging and to get that full-time kind of contingent, like we at Ocean Science Analytics, when we're processing data or anything along those lines, you have a lot of work and then it's the ebb and flow, and then eventually you need just a little bit of gap between that. So that is a challenging component to things, but even on the data analytical side, if you're going that kind of route. So just be aware of that. Sometimes you have to stitch together.
Thank you very much, everyone. So we have more questions in the chat, but yeah, we are already to be respectful also with the time. I wanted to thank all the speakers, all the panelists for these insightful presentations and discussion, and give you the chance now, the floor. So to each of you, if you can say one sentence, you can give one advice, maybe from these questions that you are from Slido. Just one short sentence or something that can inspire people who is hearing us today. And thank you all the audience as well for being here, and we are so engaged on this session. So let's start with Ashley. Is that okay?
My piece of advice. Oh, this is going to change day to day, but here it is for today. My piece of advice is that remain resilient, because searching for a job is really hard. Sign up for all of the newsletters because there is great info. So sign up for Blue Jobs, sign up for Marmam, sign up for all of those things. It is an easy way to filter into your inbox, and that way it might make you aware of jobs that you never knew were there. So sign up for all the newsletters is today's advice.
Thank you. Nito?
I would echo that as well. I would also say it's not just what you know, but who you know. And really networking is key, it's critical. We're quite a tight community, the marine mammal side. And we're happy to help people as well. But don't be afraid to reach out, don't be afraid to network, but be polite, be courteous. And yeah, use LinkedIn. It's a great resource. And also it's a great resource for kind of just seeing how people have kind of like gone through their career to get to where they are, the types of roles that people are working in, to see from their degree and how they've progressed. It's a great resource on that side. But yeah, I would definitely say don't be scared to network. Don't be scared to ask for opportunities and put yourself out there, because I mean, marine science is a gateway to the world as well, and you can be working all over. And really, it's up to you. You hold those, those keys to your career on that. So good luck.
Thank you, Nito. And Celia?
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm just going to complement that there are more ways to find a job apart from LinkedIn, apart from job platforms. That is basically networking, as you mentioned, but there are many job fairs that I will recommend you to attend. There are congresses, there are events. So this is also a really good way to participate, to network, and to find a job. So yeah, my advice could be also to attend in-person meetings and job fairs, and to keep networking. Yeah.
Please.
I'll show the last one. It's supposed to be profound, right?
Last but not least.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out there that it's really important too to not only just grab at and go at all these trainings and opportunities, but think about what your ultimate goals are and how that fits into your lifestyle. We've talked a lot about, like, we've emphasized a lot some of the fields kind of opportunities and whatnot, because those are some of the early gateway entry jobs. But if you're that person that gets seasick, hates travel, don't do that. To find something that fits within, accommodates what kind of things you're interested in, but also fits in with your lifestyle. Like I started Ocean Science Analytics explicitly without the field component because I was done with that. I wanted to focus on the, computer based analysis because that fit a little bit better with me and my lifestyle. So just keep that in mind. Don't just drop into grad school because that's what you are supposed to do, because you're not supposed to just do that. It's whatever fits your path and your ultimate career goals. So there you go. There's the nugget.
Thank you so much for this advices of you. So we leave it with this message, to subscribe to job advertisement. Doing a lot of networking is really relevant. Job fair, congresses, and think of your goals and how it fits to your lifestyle, your career. So that's the final message. Thank you everyone for participating into this webinar. And yeah, sorry, I kind of lost my voice at the end, but we managed. So thank you very much. And we look forward for the next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.